Hi friends, family, and folks. Thanks for tuning in to Suzanne Irene's Inspiration's the Theme. I do hope you hit subscribe and invite friends. So I'm pretty excited to honor the women of North Hastings. And today is, we're remembering Alma Jean Wilson Nee Anderson. She's remembered by her family. I found a lot of similarities in this story writing to my own upbringing in life, so I've just found it so fun. Jean was born on November 6, 1929, Dungannon Township, Hastings County, to the parents of John Wallace, who was known as Jack Anderson, and Lucy Blanche Martin. She went to our Lord, as it says here, on August 31st, 1980. The funeral service was at Lamab United Church. The interment was at Lamab Cemetery. Her siblings are Robert, Jack, Stuart, Marie Edith, Derek, all of which have passed on. Rhoda and Joan are those that are surviving. Jean married Gilbert Wilson, it says here, on August 21st, 1946. They had the following children: Gail, Diane, Brenda, Jean, not two, Brenda Jean is one name, Joan, Connie, and Kenneth. Kenny was born on November 14th, 1962, and died September 27th, 2012. It says here that Mom and Dad lived down the old Hastings Road in their little house with the sweet apple tree. Mom and Dad and Gail, who was just a baby at the time, and their dog all slept together. Mom had to drive the old truck, it says, down to Grandma Gardner's to milk the cows. Jean Kelly thought that Jean Wilson and Nee Anderson was so amazing because she could drive. It goes on to say that Mom was quite afraid by many times, and she was quite isolated. And when Gail was young and Diane was just a baby, they stayed at their neighbors, who were Jack and Jean Kelly. At that time, Dad started building our house beside them on the old Hastings Road in Lamab, just up the road from their little place. And it says here that their father provided them a very comfortable life and that he worked at the MTO. Mom was extraordinary, ! She was a tiny little thing and weighed less than 100 pounds. She was quiet and shy, but don't get her mad. It says here, because if you did, look out. Raising 6 children was quite an accomplishment. Making meals, homemade bread, churning butter, gardening, canning, baking, cleaning, crocheting, knitting, embroidering, and more. It says here that they had to carry their water from their neighbors, and she used a washboard until she got a washing machine. And Mom was quite routine, it says here, and in such a way, she said there was no sense cleaning the house until Monday because they always had so much company on the weekend. And it says here about the family that they wore hand-me-down clothes from Madonna's house in Cumbermere. I think that's all very much the way I certainly grew up. All those are very familiar things. We had fresh veggies, it says here, especially tiny new potatoes in white cream sauce. Oh, does that make your mouth water? And homemade veggie soup. Oh, sounds so good. Garden soup. Dad loved his beans every week, baked or bean soup. And it says here, were they ever good with homemade bread? Again, I made a bean soup not too long ago. Kids today don't know much about bean soup, but I haven't met one that doesn't love it. And especially with a piece of homemade bread. Oh, this is great. It says here that they had all their chores given to them, that they kept chickens, pigs, and goats, and every day after school they were expected to weed the garden. And their garden was multi-level with berries on the upper level, and there were rows of colorful flowers interspersed with vegetables on the lower level. Mom loved going camping at La Valley, where they had such great times together. It says here that Mom was a member of the St. Andrew's United Church in Lamab, and that she was active in the women's organization LOBA number 702. That she also attended the Pentecostal Tabernacle in Bancroft, And she worked at Mrs. Henderson's, and she also worked at the manor until she hurt her back. In the summer, they would frequently go swimming in nearby Tate Lake, and that Jean was never seen wearing a bathing suit. She swam in her clothes. We all miss and love our beautiful, amazing mother. That's sad. Gone to be with our Lord way too soon, as it is quoted here as I read. So it is lovely to pick up and lift Jean Wilson, nee Anderson. And the recipe is chocolate macaroons, and we all had those. You might have called them haystacks. There's different names for them. And I know that one family said to me that's what they had when there was no more bread left, and that's what you put in your lunch. And it didn't need flour, because if you had flour, you'd make bread. So this is honoring the women of North Hastings, and if it were not for them and all their successes and their hard work and dedication, we would not be living as privileged. So let us lift them together. Thanks for listening. Tune in next time. And next time, bring a friend, will you? Thanks.